do.
I do believe that we'll break down those barriers and hope to take women's boxing to a new level.
When the best in the world fight each other, that's what happens.
We want to put a female fight on card because they're thrilling, they're entertaining, and they're great athletes.
I'm just so happy. It just means everything to me.
Fabulous advert for women's boxing.
What a reception from the crowd.
The recent rise of women's boxing has been remarkable. Its upward trajectory has seen barriers broken and history made. Female bouts are now a regular fixture of most fight promotions.
What an advert for women's boxing. A huge embrace from the pair of them.
Fighters are becoming superstars in their own right. The game is changing, but it's fair to say the landscape has not always looked so promising for the sport.
I'm the world champion. And I'm gorgeous.
Back in 1998, Jane Couch, the Fleetwood assassin, was denied her right to become the first professional female fighter in the UK by the British Boxing Board of Control.
The case started last June when Jane applied to the board for a licence and her application was turned down. At that time, we filed a complaint with the Industrial Tribunal alleging that she'd been discriminated against on the grounds of her sex.
Jane would eventually win her battle in court and is heralded by many as a pioneer who paved the way for many of today's women to succeed.
I respect her. She legalised women's boxing in England. I want to fight women that have courage, and this is one here.
I think without Jane Couch going through what she went through in the 1990s, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. We wouldn't be discussing women's boxing in the same way. I think it's a different question if you say, did Jane Couch inspire people? Because what she went through was so grueling that it couldn't have possibly inspired anybody. And I think that's why it took maybe another 15, 20 years before women's boxing was truly accepted. The situation with Jane Couch at the time and the British Boxing Board of Control's infamous line was, women are not mentally stable enough to box. It wasn't a view just shared with amongst the British Boxing Board of Control. Jane Couch had to overcome tremendous struggles with promoters, with the media. What she went through was sexism in the extreme.
For many, women's boxing was viewed as a gimmick, barely more than a circus sideshow sandwiched alongside heavyweight knockout artist Butterbean or other such novelty acts. Yes, there was quality, but with a real lack of support from the wider sport. Lucia Riker, Anne Wolfe, Christy Martin and Layla Ali all made impressions across the Atlantic as brilliant professionals. But the rewards and recognition were still minimal compared to their male counterparts. Even the greatest had to accept his daughter's wishes to follow in his footsteps.
He's a man, he's also a male chauvinist, doesn't think women should be in the ring. So, now he's had to accept it and he's happy that I'm winning. Believe me, my father still has an ego. And he didn't want his daughter losing.
2012 was a breakthrough. Women finally given the chance to compete at the London Olympics. A global audience would watch Nicola Adams storm her way to an Olympic gold medal, becoming the first ever woman to do so, and would bring a new generation of females flooding through gym doors up and down the country.
There were so many people watching the sport just because it was in London, and there's been numerous people coming up to me saying, "Oh, I've just taken up sport, I've just taken up boxing. You've just given me the inspiration to go out and just do a run." So I mean, it's had a massive effect.
Despite Team GB's Olympic success, it would take an Irish amateur legend to cross over to the professional ranks to really change the game here on UK soil.
This is a new step for Matchroom Boxing and Sky Sports. Women's sport is really flourishing across networks and channels, And after her performances, and of course after the recent Olympics, I received a text from Katie asking if I'd be interested in promoting her. After she came over to the office with Brian and her mum Bridget, I was just fascinated by Katie Taylor. It's not about women's boxing breaking through, it's about the product breaking through. And what that means is if you're entertaining, you're entertaining. Doesn't mean if you're a man or a woman. It's completely irrelevant.
I needed a change, and I'd just like to thank yourself, Eddie, and Matchroom for taking me on. And this, I know it's such a risk and a challenge for you guys as well, but this is going to be an exciting new journey, and this is exactly what women's boxing needs. I think, you know, the platform that I have with Sky and with Eddie and Matchroom is going to be amazing for women's boxing, and I do believe that I will break down those barriers, and I hope to take women's boxing to a new level, really.
The Irish icon was a tremendously skillful amateur who captured gold at London 2012, so it came as little surprise that she breezed her way to a world title in just 7 fights.
Ireland's heroine and women's sporting icon Katie Taylor with her first acid test as a pro. She's lit up boxing, and so many other talents have followed her into the sport. Can she win a world title less than a year since turning professional? Good body shot from Katie Taylor. Down goes Sanchez, and she really felt that.
Left hook to the body! Left hook to the body inside! Look that leg!
She's got the job done here, and we're very impressed.
And the new WBA lightweight champion of the world, Katie Taylor.
Quiet, unassuming, almost shy away from the ring, the transformation once the first bell rings is part of the charm, and it was Taylor who picked up the baton and became a true crossover star.
Work so hard, love. What would you walk into the ring, Katie? Me walking into the ring? You don't want me walking into the ring. You talk about bringing yourself down.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. What do you think? We'll have a vote. What about Conor? I think it's a good thing, right?
No, I'm shy. I'm shy as
You're not saying no. You can't say no. You can't say no.
But if you...
Guys, nice.
I've got to do it.
Into the ring. Walk. Yes.
Do you want me to walk? I walk behind you. I walk behind you.
You would. Yes, no, behind. No, you walk behind. Yes, behind. You don't got to sing or anything now.
No, let it be about this is Katie's moment. We're going to have an argument. There's going to be a brawl.
Bringing New York's Madison Square Garden to its feet is no easy task, but it's exactly what Katie achieved in her final round against Delphine Persoon in her quest to become undisputed champion of the world.
The fans in the garden are loving this, but who is going to win it? Taylor digging in, but Persoon will not give this up. It's been an incredible, resilient display from Persoon. Taylor trying to match her, but is she? The crowd are rising. What an incredible fight, and it goes to show when the best in the world fight each other, that's what happens.
Your winner by majority decision. And now the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Katie Taylor!
For some, winning all of the belts would be enough, but for Taylor, the bar continues to be raised. A 2-weight world champion soon followed, but it was the reaction of the crowd post-fight that was telling, a sign that not just Katie, but that women's boxing had well and truly arrived on the scene. A trailblazer, a legend, an icon.
You said when you turned pro that you want to become undisputed champion of the world. You did that. You're now a 2-weight world champion. How does that sound?
This is... thank you so much.
What a reception from the crowd.
Lovely.
what is your continued motivation? Because when you set out, you said, I want to become undisputed lightweight champion. You've done that. There aren't that many boxes left to tick. So what is the continued motivation for you?
I just want to always, continue to make history in my sport. I feel like I have a lot more years left in me to produce good performances. I still feel like people haven't seen the best of me yet. I just want to leave a great legacy in the sport, and I want to inspire the next generation and inspire some of those young girls coming up to dream big dreams and to do even better than what I've done, really. And that's what true legacy is all about.
When Katie Taylor spoke of inspiring the next generation, Terry Harper took note.
She's definitely an idol. Katie is the reason why I'm here.
Working in her local chippy, fueled by Katie's exploits, she decided to return to a sport she had walked away from as a teenager.
So I stepped back from sport and I had probably like 4 years out, still coming into the gym now and then. And then like randomly one day I just had a message off Andrew.
My real name's Andrew Bullcroft. I want to turn pro at 17-year-old. I use Steffi Bull.
Seeing what I'd reckon to turning pro.
Basically, I was sat at home with my wife watching boxing at Sky Sports event and Katie Taylor were boxing. I was just sat there watching the fight for me, Terry Harper.
I jumped straight at it. It's the best opportunity I've ever been given. I say give them a second chance and here we are.
Alright, what are you running for?
Women's boxing surely has another star. They embrace Emma Volstrom has been world champion for 5 years, but I think she knows.
And the new WBC and IBO Super Featherweight Champion of the World, Terry Belter Harper.
Natasha Jonas, a quality amateur, boxed at London 2012 before giving birth to daughter Mila in 2015. She has proved an inspiration to other sportswomen in balancing the demands of professional sport and being a mum.
It's incredible, isn't it, your story?
Oh, all these titles, whatever title I win, mum's the best title in the world.
It was the summer of 2020, in the midst of the COVID crisis, where women's boxing history would be made. The first all-British women's world title fight took place open air in Eddie Hearn's back garden. A fight that would live long in the memory.
The first world title between two British women ever. The first world title over here since lockdown, and one of the first times two of our finest female fighters are topping a huge bill. It's wonderful to see. And there goes Jonas with the left hand again. Terry Harper comes right back at her. Fantastic action here at Matchroom HQ. Beautiful shot. A lovely shot from Natasha Jonas. There's the power of Jonas. Brilliant ambassadors, these two. And a fabulous fight. The bell goes. A fabulous advert for women's boxing.
95-95, we have a split draw.
I went out there and I dug deep, and I just want to thank Tasha for an excellent fight. That was a big learning fight for me, and yeah, back in the gym soon for the next one.
Again, history in the making, and it was an honour to share it with and she's going to be in the game a lot longer than I am. But she made a few statements, and I had to prove some of them statements wrong, not only to her but to myself as well. And I thought I put on a good performance tonight, and I'm just gutted I'm not coming home as with the belt.
That was their platform. That was their opportunity to say, this is our moment. But what they delivered in the ring was just sensational. You can have the best ring walks in the world, you can have all the pyrotechnics, but in there is what matters. And that, in front of 20,000 people, at the O2 or Manchester Arena, would have lit the place up. But even here, we witnessed something really special.
The global pandemic has had a devastating effect on many women's sports. But boxing was able to continue, albeit with strict measures in place, and it even flourished in these challenging times. Again, women's boxing continued to break down barriers, and history was made in November. 3 women's championship contests headlined the SSE Wembley Arena.
The growth that we've seen, the interest that we've seen through particularly the hard work of the female fighters, through the hard work of Matchroom, and particularly the exposure that Sky have given them as well. We're very proud. We're very proud that we've reached this moment. The great thing about it is it's not a gimmick. They've done this because they deserve this platform. they've given the entertainment. We've all worked collectively to push the sport. But at the end of the day, we live in a commercial world. And if it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't a great fight, or if it didn't have the commercial interest, we wouldn't be here. And that's great news, because then you can have longevity.
Rachel Ball.
Elsewhere, two more talents blaze their way to world title glory. Chantel Cameron and Savannah Marshall dominating their opponents in near faultless displays.
The quiet, shy, reserved, silent assassin, much admired, highly respected Savannah Marshall. Lovely right hand, and Rankin in trouble here in the 7th round, and Savannah Marshall could put the finishing touches on to what has been a wonderful display of boxing. And this is fantastic work from Marshall, all too much for the brave Scot. And it is all over. Savannah Marshall becomes the world middleweight champion, and that will mean everything to her.
Talk of a grudge match between Marshall and unbeaten American star Claressa Shields is gathering pace. Marshall was the last and only person to beat Shields as an amateur.
She's the only girl to ever defeat me when I was 17, right before I won my first Olympics. And I want that win back. But they have every excuse in the world. Oh, we want her to have 16 fights. We want her this, we want her that. And now they're saying that I'm running from her because I'm at 154. But I've been champion at 168. I'm currently undisputed champion at 160, and I have 2 titles at 154. I don't duck and hide from nobody.
Yeah, and I think, you've given your message there, but if you did have a message for her, if she's watching, we know she's a fan of Sky Sports News, what would that message be? That is your camera over there, if you want it. Yeah, this one.
Good luck against your fight at 175. Come down to 168, me and you here at the O2 Arena, and I'm gonna get my W back.
The future looks bright with a host of new names already making waves in the pro ranks. Ellie Scotney shone bright on her debut, looking every bit a champion in the making, while Ramla Ali is being guided under Anthony Joshua's management team.
Scotney showing a full repertoire of punches, lovely jab, like I say, the body shots, the left hook to the head have been brilliant, good right hooks over the top as well, good transferring away, nice rhythm, good feint, good judge of distance. Very, very, very impressive professional debut.
We're not there yet. This isn't saying that women's boxing has arrived and it is a complete success story. As the editor of Boxing News, we made some serious strides over the last few years to give more exposure to women's boxing. And one of the most common emails I still get, I'm ashamed to say, is why are you putting women's boxing in Boxing News? We're always going to have this battle, I think, but that generation will dwindle. That mindset, thankfully, is in the minority. What the vast majority of boxing fans are seeing and saying is how good women's boxing is. And it's the competitive nature at the very top. The crucial thing now, of course, is that we have to keep attracting the talent and we have to keep moving it forward. If we're going to be brutally honest, if you were to do some British ratings, for example, there's certain weight classes where there's 1 fighter, 2 or 3 fighters. These are the challenges. But as I said, these are the first steps, and the roots that we've laid down now are very, very real roots that are going to grow.
Women's boxing now has a firm foothold and a fan base. It has role models and narratives. More needs to be done with representation at all levels, be it in coaching, promoting or officiating, but the incredible growth in a relatively short period shows just how far the sport has come. It's been said before, but rings true even now. They aren't changing the game, they've already changed it.
It's not a gimmick. If it wasn't good enough, we wouldn't be here.
Anything the guys can do, the women can do just as well, if not better. A fabulous advert for women's boxing.
I'm part of this paving the way for the next generation of females.
Women's boxing surely has another star.
I'm just so happy. It just means everything to me.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.